You're pulling a sheet of paper from the printer tray. The edge drags across your index finger. A thin, electric sting, instant and sharp. You look down. No blood, no gash, just a faint white line you have to tilt toward the light to even confirm is real. It's barely a wound, but it throbs like one. You've been cut deeper by a kitchen knife and noticed less. So what is it about this invisible little slice that hijacks your entire attention? The answer isn't about paper. It's about what your fingertips were built for, 60 million years before paper existed. Your fingertips are not ordinary skin. They're one of the most densely wired sensory surfaces in your entire body, packed with pain-sensing nerve endings called nociceptors, layered into the outermost sliver of skin, where they sit closer to the surface than almost anywhere else on you. Here's one way to feel the difference. Press two pen tips into your fingertip side by side. You can distinguish them as separate points when they're just 0.2 centimeters apart. Try the same thing on your back. You need a gap of roughly 4 centimeters before your brain registers 2 points instead of 1. Your fingertip resolves detail at 20 times the precision of your back. That's not an accident. That's a priority. In 1979, neurophysiologist Roland Johansson threaded a tungsten microelectrode, thinner than a human hair, into the median nerve of a conscious volunteer's forearm. While the subject sat still, Johansson recorded the electrical impulses of individual nerve fibers, one at a time, mapping where each fiber connected in the skin of the hand. He did this with 40 volunteers, 334 individual nerve fibers, traced and cataloged. What he found was staggering. The smooth, grippy skin of a single human hand, just your palm side, fingertips to wrist, contains roughly 17,000 tactile nerve fibers. And the distribution isn't even. Density climbs sharply as you move toward the fingertips. About 140 fast-adapting touch receptors per square centimeter in the fingertip, roughly 25 in the palm. Your fingertip, per square centimeter, is wired nearly 6 times more densely than your palm, and orders of magnitude more than your back or your thigh. This is why a paper cut on your finger hurts more than a deeper slice on your forearm. The pain signal isn't proportional to the wound. It's proportional to the number of nerve endings the wound crosses. A shallow cut just 0.1 centimeters deep on your fingertip can expose more nociceptors than a 2-centimeter gash on your shin, simply because the wiring density is that different. And paper cuts carry a second problem. They're too shallow to reach a blood vessel. No blood means no clot. No clot means no natural seal over the wound. Those exposed nerve endings stay open, to air, to friction, to every surface you touch. Every time you grip a doorknob or wash your hands, you're re-irritating a wound that never sealed itself. But nerve density only explains why the cut hurts in that spot. It doesn't explain why the pain feels so loud, so wildly out of proportion to anything actually wrong. That part happens somewhere else entirely. The nerve endings in your fingertip don't decide how much something hurts. Your brain does. And your brain has a deeply distorted picture of what your body looks like. In 1937, neurosurgeon Wilder Penfield opened the skulls of conscious epilepsy patients and touched their exposed brains with a small electrode. Each time he stimulated a point on the somatosensory cortex, the strip of brain tissue responsible for processing touch. The patient, awake on the operating table, reported where they felt it: a tingle in the thumb, a buzz on the lip, a pressure on the knee. Point by point, Penfield mapped which brain region corresponded to which body part. The map was distorted. The hands and fingers consumed more cortical surface area than the entire torso and legs combined. The lips were enormous. The torso was barely there. Penfield drew the result as a figure, a warped human body rescaled to match the brain's priorities. He called it the homunculus. It had swollen, balloon-sized hands, bloated lips, a shrunken chest, tiny legs. It looked nothing like a person. It looked like what a person's brain thinks a person is. Your brain doesn't have a body map. It has a priority list. When a paper cut fires a pain signal from your fingertip, it doesn't arrive at some small, quiet office in the brain. It arrives at mission control, one of the most heavily resourced zones in the entire cortex. The same cut on your back would reach a region with a fraction of the processing power. Same wound, radically different reception. So the system is sensitive at the skin, and the brain magnifies it further. But that still doesn't answer the deeper question, the one we haven't asked yet. Why would evolution build a body that screams this loudly over something this small? In 2004, Anthropologist Jody Hoffman measured the density of Meissner corpuscles, the touch receptors that detect light contact and fine texture, in the fingertips of 10 primate species. He chose species with widely different diets. Some ate mostly leaves, some ate insects, some ate fruit. Then he compared corpuscle density to how much of each species' feeding time was spent handling fruit. What he found was a clean positive correlation. The more fruit a primate species ate, the more touch receptors it packed into its fingertips. Species that spent their days squeezing, pressing, and testing fruit for ripeness had measurably denser tactile wiring than those that didn't. Your fingertips didn't become this sensitive for defense. They didn't start with tool use. They became this sensitive, at least in part, so your ancestors could press a thumb into a pear and know whether it was worth eating. The same receptors that detect the give of ripe fruit also detect the edge of a sheet of paper. Same wiring, different world. Now, most people's understanding stops about here. They hear nerve density, brain magnification, evolutionary holdover, and they think, okay, bad luck. The paper cut just happens to exploit a system that wasn't designed for it. That reading is close, but it misses the most important part. You've probably been thinking about pain wrong your entire life. Most people carry a quiet assumption they've never examined. That pain is a damage meter, that it scales with the wound. Small cut, small pain, deep cut, big pain. This feels obvious, almost rational, like the body is running a sensible measurement system. It isn't. Pain is not a measurement of damage. It's a measurement of priority. Your body allocates pain intensity based on the neural density of the injured zone, which is itself a map of evolutionary importance, not physical size. Your fingertips are high-priority zones because for millions of years, they were the instruments that kept primates alive. Your back is low priority. Same cut, radically different alarm. Not because one wound is worse, because one location mattered more. Think about the world this system was built for. For 60 million years, anything that broke the skin of a primate's fingertip was a genuine emergency. Thorns, splintered bone, animal bites, sharp rock edges. In a world without medicine, without antibiotics, without bandages, a hand wound that got infected could cost you the hand, cost you the ability to grip, to climb, to feed yourself, cost you your life. The pain response is calibrated to that reality. Maximum urgency, maximum attention, immediate behavioral change. Stop using the hand. Guard it. Keep it clean. Then came paper. It's existed for about 2,100 years, mass-produced, maybe 500. Your nervous system has had 0 generations to adjust. You're receiving a danger signal tuned for a thorn puncture on a forest floor 10 million years ago. The actual threat is a cut shallower than 0.01 centimeters from bleached wood pulp under fluorescent lighting in a room with hand sanitizer on the wall. There is no recalibration mechanism. The pain circuit doesn't learn. It can't look at the wound, assess the real risk, and dial itself down. It fires based on location, density, and ancient priority. Every time, unconditionally, whether the threat is a venomous thorn or a sheet of copy paper. So the next time you flinch, the next time you feel foolish for how much a paper cut hurts, understand what's actually happening. You are not being dramatic. You are not weak. You are not overreacting. Your body is running a threat protocol that kept your ancestors alive through 60 million years of sharp, dirty, infected things trying to break through the skin of their most important tool. It's just that the threat the protocol was built to detect hasn't existed in your world for your entire life. Those 17,000 nerve fibers weren't installed to annoy you. They were installed to keep you alive. The paper cut is just proof they still work. Pain is not a report on what happened to your body. It's a report on where it happened and how much that location mattered tens of millions of years ago. The same system that makes a paper cut unbearable is the system that lets you feel a single grain of sand between your fingers. It lets you find a key by touch alone in a dark pocket, or tell silk from cotton with your eyes closed. Next time you pull a sheet from the printer and feel that sting, that's not a malfunction. That's 60 million years of wiring, doing exactly what it was designed to do. Paper cuts don't hurt because something went wrong. They hurt because everything is working.